Live. Um, just catching up. I'm getting my breakfast. This is breakfast for veterans. Right? I wish I get paid for the thing. You know, somebody help me out. Hey, bang, veterans, vitamins, whatever. It's good. Right? Some people they just need to pay up. Right? I'm promoting pay. Come on. It's good. My favorite one is the Delish Strawberry Kiss. Oh, it's good. I like strawberry. It is really good, actually. If you do your research, okay, if you do your research, you will learn that some of these aren't so bad, right? Like people would go nuts about it's not good for you. No. Come on, folks. I tell you what was not good for you. Rippets. Those cheap energy drinks I got from Walmart that keep you up for months at a time. Yeah, those are not good. This is pretty good. They do the best they can not to put too much caffeine and stuff like that. But caffeine is my friend. I love caffeine. I tell you, caffeine is just fantastic. Um, it's part of an energy thing. I like it. I mean, um, there's some people who've been drinking this and they give it up, but I dig it. Okay, it's good stuff right here. Yep, right there. I like it. So, on an update from our medical situation, not much has been happening, but um, I'm waiting for a response. All right, I'm waiting for a response so that way we can move. People trying to help me, we can move forward with some of the things. Now, I was doing some research last night, and then this morning a little bit catching up on it because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. With all the stuff that I've been dealing with for 8 to 10 years, I've bottlenecked, bottlenecked how I should be behaving and treating my situation. Okay. Um, Overall, as a whole, um, I definitely have to um, think about some of the things that I'm doing. My brain has uh, has changed. I don't like to use the word change as people because we don't change, we learn. But the brain itself has done some rearranging, should I say, in my brain. So I've been doing more. I'm always doing research on brain stuff. One, it's interesting as hell to do brain research. When you do brain research, there's so much information about about the brain that it almost it's almost impossible to retain the knowledge of this of brain information. So, in other words, let me catch you guys up with the update. Okay, so I went to the doctor yesterday because I have these sores on my head that aren't healing. Well, I understand that the diabetes that I have, diabetes two, um, is causing my body to not heal as quick, or the healing process is slow, and so I get more infections, and that turns into a problem. So I got to go get antibiotics, right, for a bunch. So I completely understand that. I went in and I keep bleeding with this one on my side and the one right on the top of my head, and it's turned in. They've turned into somewhat of an infection. So they're infected now, and but it's not a bad infection. It's sort of I'm taking care of it in a way. But I what happens is it sucks because of course this is associated with my diabetes, and my diabetes is associated with my TBI, and my TBI is associated with dumbasses who don't want to give me a diagnosis. Okay, so um, I went in and I'm having problems because it won't heal. So I'm on a pillow. I'm having little spots of blood, and the one on top, if I push down a little bit, some stuff comes out, and it's not healing. But here's the interesting part about what's going on. Okay, here's the interesting part. So I'm doing the research, and the one on the top of my head is exactly where I hit my head in combat. Right. So it what has happened is the layers of skin that protect your skull, which are very very thin. Okay. They've deteriorated. They sort of deteriorated in a way. Hey, I don't know if I want to use that word. They're getting bad enough where it's causing an indention in on my brain. I mean, on my skull, not in my brain, but on my skull. And when I go to push down on it to take, some of the fluid out, whatever's there, it creates an indention, a dent in my head. And it's not exactly where the injury was, but it's just off to the side. It's attached to it. So here's the scar of my injury, and it's right to the right of it, right there. And it's created an indention in line right with where the injury is. And so it's right where right where I was having the problem. So I was doing research and like how is this? How am I? How is this affecting? Why is it eating up? It's eating up some sort of layer of my brain. I mean my skeleton, and so it's not healing. So it created this little indention, like a dent in my head, and I'm like, damn, this is not good. This is some scary shit. But I'm not scared. I've gotten to a point in figuring out what's going on with me. I've already figured it out. I'm a broken egg. There's no way they can be able. I'm not looking for any doctor or any physician, somebody to come up with some miracle to fix me. I'm not doing it. All it is maintenance. I would much more appreciate a maintenance, a managing part, so I don't, get worse faster. Where I can, they can give me some medication, whatever it is they got to do for me to slow it down, to slow this central nervous system dysfunction I have, slow it down, right? Or I'm trying to think of I've been having a lot of problems with thought thinking, just processing, putting shit together, like you learn in elementary. I learned off of TV from Sesame Street, how to conjugate, right? Apple, apple, right? I mean, come on, who didn't do that? I did, and so having problems long sentence, and then with this crap here with the thing is making it very difficult for me to speak. So I'd rather just not do it altogether, right? But then you get depressed because it's not you. You have to do things, right? You're preventing yourself from being natural all day. I want to talk. I want to do stuff, right? I want to sing on my radio. I want to do all my stuff, but it becomes a hassle, right? It becomes a hassle, especially when doctors these days, and man, I don't even want to get into that, but I have to. Can't figure out what's going on. It's upsetting. It's completely upsetting. It's not as though it's so far fetched that you're trying to figure something out that's so rare. It's not. It's just hey, look, I'm losing motor function. What the hell could it be, right? So it's the willingness, the willing to not look into it. These doctors these days, I don't know what it is that has changed with the dynamics of being a doctor these days, but it's not good. Okay. And then for somebody as small as myself, not being a doctor, how much credibility do I have to talk about a doctor? I don't have any. Right? It's like, what? Who are you, and why are you crossing over into my lane, talking about doctor stuff? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Well, actually, I do. I just don't have any credibility for people to listen to me, right? Until it happens to you. Once it happens to you, then it becomes an issue. It becomes a much more widespread situation, doesn't it? It sure as hell does. So anyways, I have this dent on my head. Well, I don't have it right now, but as soon as it builds up, the pus. I don't think it's pus. It's like a combination of blood and like I don't know, whatever whatever that stuff is. And so I push it out, and I get a tissue, and then it creates this indention, and I'm like, oh, right. I mean, it's tiresome, people. It's tiresome, right? And what what's tiresome is the actual process of trying to take care of it. It's not, I'm not even so much concerned about them giving me a diagnosis, which will help me. The diagnosis will help me move forward with benefits and medicine and departmentalize my case so that way I can, not have so much trouble trying to get stuff like wheelchairs, and for the ever changing, disability that I have, things are going to change with me. So this month, I may need this. Next 8 months, I may need something different because of the progress of my disability. I mean, does that not make sense, people? Does that not make sense? Am I way off on trying to figure out what to do and help these doctors figure out something? Well, I've also learned, because we learn, we don't change, we learn that there is a level of stubbornness, okay, when it comes to um, being a physician, a doctor, right? Most of these doctors these days, we're 2020, 2021, 20, whatever, I'm already lost. Um, we these doctors have been in school for I don't know how long, so that's minus 8 years, so that was 19. So it's been a while since these doctors been going to school, and they're doing their practice, and so obviously these physicians are going to go out and they're going to work for somebody else to get the experience and start the process of learning how to deal with policy, procedure, insurance, all these things that help protect doctors from performing their duties, right? This is the time where they learn. So, it begs the question of, well, should I start really requesting more of a seasoned doctor other than a new doctor? Well, I find out that both of them don't work. Yeah, you got the naive doctor in the beginning who just, they want to fix everything, right? They're so excited to be a doctor and earning money and family and all this stuff. And, they're willing to take chances, but, it really depends on your situation and what kind of help you need that, this doctor is willing to do. In my situation, neither will help. I can't get a seasoned doctor because they're too stubborn to be fooled. Right? I mean, they're full. They can't fool them. They already know what's going on. They're all about protecting their ass. The young doctors are just learning, and so they learn quick. It catches up to them right away, and there's only so many things a doctor is willing to do once they learn what not to do. Okay, so so with this thing on my head, went in. It's infected. I got to get some ointment, put it on there, and so that's just another thing that I have going that's going to be moved forward with my case to say, well, look, here are the symptoms. Here's the problems. Here's the issue that he had and how he sustained his injury. So I don't see why it's taking so long to determine um, that this veteran needs assistance with everything. Um, why struggle? Why does he have a struggle? So, um, so I'm waiting on information to get back with me on that to see how we need to move forward with my case. So at this point, um, I have my tasks of advocating for myself have been very specific, and so I got to be careful about not crossing over to stuff that that I'm not supposed to be discussing. I suppose I don't know. It's hard for me because I need all this assistance. I'm still able to communicate. I'm still able to build up some energy and work around the house, do stuff. I'm not good at it, but I'm still able to do things. And there will come a time, though. There will come a time, and I just don't know when the time is, and that's part of the problem. Is I'm very susceptible to a seizure, stroke, aneurysm, any of those things. I'm very, very susceptible to it, more than the average person, right? Because I have an issue, and I think, and I do research on this because I have to take care of my health. Number one, I have to do it myself, and it being that I think out of my family history we've had very hardy people, very hardy health. I would say there's some people who just don't have very hardy health. They get a flu and all of a sudden it turns into all sorts of other stuff. Now I believe that is a real thing. All right, that there's a level of genetics that deals with certain people that have just a I wouldn't say better, but a more hardy health than others. It doesn't mean they're a better person, that they're it just better than that. It just means that somehow we've developed into to where some people just they can, man, you know they can battle anything. They cancer, they beat it. They don't get sick. They do. Those people, right? I'm sort of kind of one of them in a way. Where I've learned, I don't ever get flus. The flu, I don't. I've been around people who have COVID. I don't get COVID. Just a bunch of stuff. I have this issue as an example, and I think my body at this point, and that's another reason why I get so tired, is my body's constantly fighting. It's constantly fighting. It doesn't pause. and be like, well, let's take a break. No, it's constantly fighting to keep me healthy, to keep me my health hardy. So I'm trying to do everything I can. Right? Move around, take vitamins, do this, take some of these energy drinks, fight for my medication, things like that. So, um, but ultimately, I can't battle time. There will come a time where I'm thinking, because I do have somewhat of a hardy health, that when something bad does happen, it just hits me, boom, like that, and then that's unfortunate because that's what I believe, and I'm trying to get all this stuff organized for my spouse, my wife, my family, so that way they don't have to deal with not knowing what's going on with me. Right? Well, I got to line all my ducks up in order. I have to. I have to do it because I'm battling the social dysfunction of doctors these days, and they do have a dysfunction socially. People depend on them, and they have to protect themselves. But definitely things have changed. I've had a father-in-law that's gone in. They can't figure out why he had a seizure, and it's not so much that they can't figure it out. That I think people have accepted. Like, well, they can't figure out everything, right? But there has to be a level of what do you think caused it, right? There has to be a certain willingness to put down on paper or discuss and make it official that, hey, I followed through with why you had this. Why are you losing motor function? Why did you have a seizure? What, is it because you got hit by a meteor, it came down and hit you on the head, and boom, you got, hey, now, what's the situation? Was it I'm on drugs, and the drugs causing me to have a stroke, or what? I mean, there has to be follow through with the most purposeful reason. That, if you don't get that, then I think that's irresponsible of our doctors in the community to not give you some sort of lead on and it's not as though we're asking for anything out of the ordinary. I mean, you're a doctor, for Christ's sake. I should be able to say, hey, look, what do you think the cause is for, like, for my instance, what do you think the cause was? Even though I'm telling you I had an injury, but what do you think the cause was and is that why I'm losing motor function? What's the reasoning behind it? I just want some sort of direction for it, right? That way I'm not going out there doing something to hurt myself even more, right? So I'm going to start guessing on what my prognosis is myself. And that's not good because they obviously know more than you do and how to manage some stuff. And that's the problem. Why can't I get that information? Why can't I get it? Why can't I get, I mean, it's obvious, right? Why can't I have a doctor just say, hey, look, you have a story, right? And it all adds up. You were in combat, you hit your head again, and together it has caused a motor dysfunction in your brain. And yes, it's going to be very difficult to see, but there's got to be a way to annotate, to note it, to write it, and to go forward with it without having a doctor be accountable and sued and have all this precautionary, bullshit of administrative actions that they have to take to completely ignore you. Why can't they just have a process of saying, well, look, everything adds up with you. Yes, let's do that. Instead of putting us, and I'm saying us because there's a lot of people out there, instead of putting us in a bucket with everybody else, right? So we're in with the fraud people, the people who are actually trying to fraud medical help. Right? And it doesn't have to be a veteran situation; it could be civilian situation. They're always trying to get something for something for nothing. Or they're trying to scam these Medicare system or something. They're out there, people, and they're not always bad people. They're good people. Maybe they just got tired of working, and I mean, there's so many scenarios, but we get put in that bucket, right? Instead of isolating us and keeping, um, the people who have some sort of legitimacy toward getting answers. No, it doesn't even have to be an answer. Let's correct that. All it has to be is a lead in. Well, the reason why you had a stroke was because you have A, B, C, and D, and one of these is causing you to have this stroke or aneurysm or whatever it is. That's my professional medical opinion, and I'm going to stick with it, and we're going to move forward with it. Now, if something changes, then I'm going to annotate it and correct it. But at this point, that's what it is. Why can't we get that? Why? That's a fault of what's going on with our doctors these days. And that's worldwide. That's just not in the United States. That's worldwide. Now, other countries who don't have, I think, like third world countries who doctors who don't have any of this liability, they're some damn Frankenstein doctors, they don't really care much. I'm almost willing to do that. Go down there and say, "Hey, doc, I know you ain't got nobody to sue you for nothing. You earn as much as the janitor because you guys are a third world country and you're a communist. But what's going on with me? Here's my story. Yeah, sure, you have a TBI, man. I mean, it's obviously completely connected to what's going on with you. What else would it be, man? You tell me the reason, and then get a diagnosis. But it wouldn't mean anything here in the States, right? It wouldn't mean a damn thing. So then I have to start thinking, why are we like this in the States? Why are our doctors, who are at the pinnacle of our society in respect, they're pivotal, right? Everybody respects a doctor. And why can't we get, as civilians, why can't we get a process into which doctors and physicians and people give us something to work with, right? Um, it's not our job as people who are ill and injured to worry about the people who are trying to fraud the system. It's not our job to worry about that, right? There should be an organization, people or governmental people, something to deal with that completely. And it should be upfront and personal. They should be addressing every single case in our country. Yeah. I mean, what's so hard about it? You throw them in a bucket, anyways. Okay, this person has an injury. This person has an illness. It's a virus, an injury, and they deal with it. Why can't we have that? Right? Why can't we deal with, well, there's a complication like myself? I'm using myself as an example because I think that, I've been mistreated, medically neglected. I've got all the I have all the negative administrative issues of being medically neglected, not getting the treatment for what I need, a problem with getting a diagnosis, all these things. I have them, right? I have all those problems. And so I'm just I'm trying to figure out, how do people get by now that I have this injury? It didn't matter to me when I wasn't injured, but now that I have this injury, man, I just, it's hard for me to wrap my brain around the fact that there's no process. There's no due diligence about, well, hey, this guy, he may be frauding the system, so let's throw him in the fraud bucket with every other 100 million person in the United States who's trying to get something for nothing. I've been thrown in that bucket. I absolutely have been thrown in that bucket. And there's a lot of people that are thrown in that bucket also if they can't find what's going on with you. You're immediately put into this situation. Immediately. Okay, until something arises, something happens, right? And then they can find the silver lining of what's going on with, oh, now we know, but you have to completely be dead. I mean, you have to, like me, I have to go into a stroke or some sort of a coma, and then there has to be some, evidence that my brain in this area is not ticking right. And then they'll say, oh, well, see, the guy has a TV. Wow, you guys didn't know that, right? That's what has to happen because there's no medical curiosity. There's none. There's no professionality anymore with these doctors. There's none. So my wife's trying to correct me. She's saying it's not a word. I'm going to keep using these words because that's all I know. Um, but anyways, any professionalism with these doctors, you know, I, I don't think they're ever was. People like to go back and I shouldn't say that. We like to go back and think, well, the doctor with the old suitcase and the stethoscope and walking around, they had to follow through with every single situation, and they had some medical curiosity about what was going on with you, and right. I mean, that was the upcoming professionalism of being a doctor, I think. And now doctors don't have to do a damn thing. All they do is get on this little computer, and everything's mapped out for them. It's like a career, right? In the military, when you get into service, that's what the military does now. So if you're going into a certain field, it maps it out for you already and gives you what is most likely your career path in the service. And that's the same with the doctor. So you have to follow these things, and you either go this way or that way to become a physician or biologist or whatever. And that's that. And so everything is already set. There's no interest because it's already in the library, right? So for instance, me, the guy has a TBI, but there's no signs and there's no real evidence that in his brain it shows that. Well, it's because no one's willing to put forward the curiosity of actually being a doctor. I know that's a broad statement, but it's true. All right. I haven't had one doctor. These are all doctors, people, physicians. I haven't had not one who have sat down with me and said, some bitch, dude, this is some serious stuff you got going on. And actually, it is amazing that you're having all these things, but we can't see it. I mean, I'm excited that I get to deal with you, right? Like how man, I got to learn off this. This is some cool stuff. If I was a doctor, that's what I would be doing. But I guess I'm a rare breed. What happened to the people like us? Would be like, you know what? Maybe I do have rules and regulations that I got to follow, and there's no way I'm going to bend that for anybody because I have kids and a house worth $1 million. I drive a Lamborghini. I'm not going to give up nothing for you. Well, how about just being professional? How about joining a group or something? Is there a group you can join where you guys aren't legally bound to giving us something to work with? Is there something you guys can do for us to break this? Like, well, I can't say anything because I'm going to get in trouble and I got to follow the rules and regulations of being a doctor, and so we're just gonna go ahead and let you get worse and get so bad that maybe one of those at that in time, maybe one of those issues that you're having presents what you're claiming happened, right? Well, there's a lot of things going on there, and I think there's an opportunity for a physician today to do exactly what I'm saying. There is. I don't see why they can't. They don't want to take an opportunity to maybe be the doctor who wants to do more research on me, right? Who's like, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to be able to fix you, but you know what? This is interesting, and I want to take you on and see how this is all working. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't a problem and doctors knew what was going on with me already, we wouldn't be having this conversation. They would already know what's happening to me, and I suspect some of them do already. It's just again, they're not they're not willing to take any chance whatsoever to put themselves in a situation that they cannot see. Okay, so they're going to be very careful about what they say, what they write down, who they say it to. They're going to be extremely careful, and that puts people like me in a bind. People who aren't getting the information that they need. And it doesn't have to be a cure. It doesn't have to be the actual reason why things going on. It just has to be in the realm of, well, you were taking crack cocaine, so you had a heart attack, bro. I mean, something obvious, something that we can accept and say, well, yeah, maybe you're right. I was drinking too much, or I was doing taking too much of this or doing too much of that. And be like, you're onto something there. But we're not even getting that, people. We're not getting it. We're being left in limbo, right? And that's what I've been saying for years. I'm in a purgatory. Yeah, I've been put in this purgatory on purpose. And like I said, I suspect that these doctors exactly know what's going on with me. They do. And so since it's been upfront, they've been upfront for ignoring my situation. It took me a while to catch on. It took me a little bit. Okay. It took me a little bit to catch on to, they really are not willing to address my situation. Well, I eventually caught on, and so now, I'm playing the same game. I'm playing their game. Oh, you don't want to address why I have this dent in my head now? You don't want you just like, yeah, I see it. Okay, bye. That's what happened. I went into the emergency, or it was a Banner University. The guy didn't want to touch it. He didn't want to do anything. He just, hey, you see this dent? Yeah. He said, yeah, I see it. I said, well, I have to. I told him why it gets that way. And I said, well, I had this, I hit myself on my head. He says, probably why you have that. You know, I said, well, I looked into spider bites. I'm doing other people's thinking for them right now at this point, you know. And he's like, no, yeah, that's, probably injury, man. Okay, well, anyways, he says, I got to write you a prescription for some ointment. And he set me off. He didn't want to deal with it. He didn't want to address it. He didn't find anything interesting in correlation with what's going on with my entire body. He's just doing his work, clocks in and clocks out. So you're going to tell me that doctors, we're talking about physicians, the people we admire the most, to it's okay for them just to clock in and clock out and not pay any attention to what's actually going on around them, right? I mean, there's certain things that I think require a doctor's attention. I'm one of them. I mean, you come in, you have the flu. It's sort of like, okay, right? That's a reason to clock in and clock out. You know what's going to happen unless something bad happens to the person. But me, here I come. I have just about everything wrong with me. But they got to meet their demand, right? Depending on where they're working. If they're working on a fast food facility, where they're, in and out, people are in and out, well, then that's what they're going to do, right? That's what they're going to do. They're going to clock in and say, yeah, you have a dent on your head, but there's not much I can do, so I'll give you some ointment. See you later. Bye. They're not going to look into it. They're not going to forward any sort of medical curiosity into it, even though it could be hurting me more than they think, right? And at this point, I need any one of these doctors' help. I mean, I absolutely need a doctor to write me somewhat of, they call it a nexus letter, right? And, write and what the letter is it connects your injury, your disability to being service connected in the military, right? So, hey, can you connect this so that way I can start receiving treatment and, whatever it is, nope, won't do it. They won't do it, right? And the more you explain, the more it sounds like you're trying to get something out of it, right? Like you're trying to fraud the system, right? Because to them it doesn't seem honest. It's like you're attacking them. So yeah, so I've been. I think that's a big reason why the VA has an issue because they're just too big. The policies and procedures are ever changing in detail that um, there's only so many people that know that they know um, how protective these policies are to their doctors, how unprotective it is for these doctors. What I mean, it almost seems as though these policy writers in the VA and these administrative people who control these policies are just doing that alone, right? Because once you're a doctor, but everything else is about protecting those doctors, right? For somebody like myself who's coming in and saying, well, I have this thing. I have a situation. I just need you guys to hear me out, and then let's sort it out and let's get me moving. Right? That's it. So even as bad as my situation is, even as bad as it is, okay, I will not be able to get a doctor, a physician, to do what I want them to do for me. It's not going to happen. Okay. So how do I go about doing it? All right. People, a lot of folks, I don't say people, but a lot of folks, they live on hope. I don't believe in hope. Well, I believe in hope, but I don't use hope. Hope is like begging for me. Okay. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold people accountable for their actions. I was held accountable when I was overseas fighting. That was the last thing I did. I was held accountable. I was held accountable for doing something really simple, was breaking my night vision goggles, and I got reprimanded for it. And it caused problems, and I didn't receive any sort of award accommodations that were put in for me throughout my entire year of touring. I was over and above what I was doing. I did what I did over and above. And I have had people tell me, "What do you want? Do you want this award or that?" They actually gave me an option. I didn't know what to say. Like, I don't care. I'm here to do my job. And so every single award that was put in for me, I got none. I got zero. I was held accountable for my actions. But when I go to hold people like a doctor accountable for not doing anything for me, that's supposed to be part of the policy, I have no authority. I can't do anything to not hurt him, but I can't do anything to hold him accountable. I can't. So what do I do? Do I just be happy with what they're giving me and saying, well, just live your life, man. Just die like that. So what? That's what it comes down to. I mean, I've had people insinuate that dealing with the stuff from 8 to 10 years. I really had some people insinuate, you're already receiving 100%, man. What's the problem? Yeah, right. Well, the problem, son of a bitch, is that I'm not getting any medical care for the actual reason I'm receiving the benefits. Right? It's absurd. If you have a heart attack and you have issues that are dealing with your heart attack, you don't want them to give you something for a knee ache or a headache. You want them to deal with the exact problem. Because it's more important to prolong your life, isn't it? Isn't that what we're about here in the United States? Justice, peace. But apparently it's not. What holds justice and peace, right, is liability, the insurance, the go along to get along so that way nobody is held accountable for anything. When you actually get into that scenario, it's a real thing. They will ruin your life. Your life is ruined. I can't get a damn person in a department to give me a wheelchair without me begging for it. Saying, and then they ask me the question. It's like, why do you need it? Uh, I don't know. I just thought maybe I'd have one for the fuck of it. That I'm serious, people. That is what's happening to me. It's departmentalized. I can't get in the department at the VA department. Right? The VA has certain departments where you get like polytrauma. I can't get into polytrauma. Oh, we're not denying you care, but I'm not asking for care. I'm asking to be a part of the polytrauma unit. So that way I can have the benefits of asking for things and getting the medical care I need. Yeah, but you don't have a diagnosis. Well, whose job is that? Well, it's a complicated issue. We can't exactly just do what you want us to do. That's what's happening, people. I have no recourse. I have no power to make something happen, right? The more I bitch about it, the more it sounds like a fraud case. Yeah. So, so I, so I'm waiting on information to get back with me, so that way I can forward my case to I don't know, get to the next step. That's where I am. Right at this point, all I'm doing is everyday stuff. I got to build up energy. I got to sustain that energy. I have to make sure that I'm taking care of the things that are up front and center, like my diabetes. Hey, let's make sure we control that. I'm doing all this on my own. I am getting people calling me from the VA to try to help me with the diabetes, but where the disconnection is, there's a disconnection there. I get frustrated with it because they won't acknowledge that I have a central nervous system dysfunction that is adding to the central nervous dysfunction. I keep telling them, why am I having this problem of it being so high? I barely drink water. I fast for a day and I drink water and my blood sugar goes straight up. Well, it's associated with, and they give me this roundabout, like I went to school for, they just throw it out there. They're not even thinking about it. They just throw it out. I just want to hear it from them, right? So, um, so that's frustrating. That's completely frustrating. And it's unbelievable that I have to be dealing with this in the United States of America, especially as a veteran, right? So I'm trying to set a precedence here, right? I'm trying to set a situation where my case, if it ever gets resolved in some manner, that people can refer to my case and say, let's not go down that road. No, because that just turned into a damn mess. Um, let's use him as an example of what not to do. And that's my whole purpose. As I said, I already know what I need. I already know I don't have a crystal ball to know when I'm going to get extremely bad, where there's a point where my body's just going to say, fuck it, you know you're toast, man. I mean, you got a problem, and there's no fixing that problem. But you didn't get any management for medical help, so we're just going to go ahead and have an aneurysm and put you in a coma. That seems like a far thing, doesn't it? It seems like that's not going to happen to you, man. Oh, come on, dude. Well, then you tell me what's going to happen with the issues that I'm having. A central nervous system dysfunction. It's not like it's just this situation that is like, well, it's this festering problem you have with cells in your brain that aren't speaking to each other, sort of a demyelination type thing. You're having all these secondary problems. No, I think you're going to be okay. That's exactly where I'm put. That is where I'm put. Instead of being, if this suddenly came on somebody, like it just boom, it happened to my extent, every resource, every concern would be upfront with that person until it settles down and they can't figure it out. And then they'll be put into my bucket of purgatory of, well, we just don't know what it is. With all the research and all the medical advancements and all the studying and all the uh, uh, you know high tech medical stuff that we have these days, they cannot figure out what's going on with me. They cannot point that needle toward, well, even though we still can't figure it out with all this technology we have, that's got to be the reason. That's got to be the reason. I'm already receiving benefits. What's the point of saying, well, let's solidify, let's ironclad these benefits, plus, let's put him in the situation where he's now eligible for this extra medicine. He's now eligible for these benefits. He's now eligible to receive this kind of care. Why can't you just put me in that situation? Because there's a problem. And it's not a problem with them not knowing what's going on with me. It's a problem with the people who are making the rules. All right? The rules of not putting it together for me back in the 6 7 years ago has turned into a complete debacle. And the longer it goes on, the longer it becomes a non-applicable resolution because people moved on, they're no longer working here, they're doing right. So that's why I do what I do, document a lot of the stuff that I have because it doesn't mean anything to anybody until it actually becomes a problem for yourself in some way, right? So moving on with the stuff, there is. Let me see. If you guys are looking for help in your, and I'm too advanced, in problematic stuff, there is a program called V is in Victor, VA Insiders. Okay, VA Insiders. It is. Let me see if I can pull up the picture of it. It it helps veterans with filing for the proper paperwork, filing for in the proper manner of getting what you want. Or because it's not what you want, it's like there's a process into claiming certain things. If you have post traumatic stress disorder, there's a process. There's stuff added to your post traumatic stress disorder that other people don't have. So there's specific properties of filing for you that may differ from somebody else. Okay, so you got to make sure you do it the right way because you're going to be having problems with it later on. All right. And so you also don't know what you're eligible for. This VA Claims Insider, they have a website, and you go to it, you put in your information, it tells you, it gives you a newsletter of all sorts of issues that veterans have. Everything from hearing to TBIs to infections, burn pits, all sorts of things. VA Insider. Another one is if you're needing it to be a little bit more advanced, it's called the Prestige Veteran Medical Consulting Company. Prestige, right? And they deal with stuff like nexus letters where you're trying to connect a disability to something, service connection, or you're just trying to get VA care. There's all sorts of administrative stuff that they deal with, and that's Prestige Consulting Company. Let me see if there's a website here for it. Um, PVMC. That's what it is. And so, there's a ton. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of programs that are out there. Any more of that? Okay. There's a lot of programs that I'll get out in a second. I'm almost done. Okay. I know you need it. There's a lot of programs out there, and I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of them. And here's my other point. There's so many programs to help veterans. There's hundreds of them, even thousands of them to help veterans, but yet they cannot figure out how to deal with me. What does that tell you? I mean, there's what I just gave you, VA Insider, Prestige. I mean, there's hundreds of them. Everybody wants to help a veteran. Well, let's create this program, Luke's Wings, the what's the big one? Wounded Warrior Program, Tunnels for Towers. All those things are willing to help veterans. Now they have a lot of stipulations. If you ever look into all those that are giving back to veterans, those ones that give back to veterans as far as paying their mortgages and free houses and all the stuff, they have put some stipulations on their being able to receive benefits from their company, it's almost absurd. Like you don't even want to do it. I'm like, man, that's just completely absurd. Because what it does is it questions your situation. Did you fraudulently get where you are? Did you have to do A, B, and C to get what you need? So we're kind of, we're not really, we're not happy about how you receive that. There's all these judgments now on how you're a veteran. There is. There's more judgments on how you're a veteran and your status now because time has passed and people, especially when our country is going through a situation where where we're having problems financially with work and people out of work and this COVID thing, and so people are becoming very judgmental on what you receive as a veteran, right? So it's not easy, and for my situation, I am ineligible. I'm not eligible for all these programs because I don't have a diagnosis. So does that benefit me? Absolutely not. It does not benefit me. I much less can't get medical attention for what I need. That's supposed to be assigned to my situation through the government of the United States of America. I can't get it. These other programs they are privileged programs like Tunnel Towers. I would love to have Tunnel Towers pay my mortgage, because I deserved it. I'm missing, my situation is I'm classified as missing limbs because they don't work. So that's a classification under the United States of America government, Veterans Health Administration, that my legs don't work, my arm doesn't work, this and that doesn't work. So I am considered a para something. I don't even remember. I'm so far off from that now. But I can't apply for these benefits because I don't have the proper paperwork to apply for them. So what do I do? The program is there for me, people like myself, but I'm ineligible because I don't have a service connection for a TBI because they're unwilling with all the medical MRIs and things that I have gotten. They are unwilling. That's the key word. They are unwilling to give me the diagnosis of a TBI, and then I can apply for these things. What is it to them? What do they care? But they won't do it, people, because there's liability involved. And that's why I want to move forward with my case with these people that are trying to help me to just get it over with, man. Hey, look, how much more time do I have? How much more time do you have? You're trying to battle a situation, right? Some sort of resolution. It doesn't have to be, you made these people learn that they made a mistake. You're not going to be 100% satisfied at all. But I want what is justified, okay, in my situation. Everybody has a different situation. What do you get when you ignore completely when you ignore somebody's medical case? What happens to you in the United States of America? What happens? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I don't write the rules. But what happens? I know it's not right because I'm not receiving it. So what happens? We don't know. And so it goes undealt with. That is not right, people. Completely. All right? Because I know this as a matter of fact. When you're dealing with certain people, rules and regulations, and they tell you to jump, you jump. But when it comes for you to tell them what's going on and they're making mistakes, they don't know who the hell you are. And so that, people, we do not give up on. All right. So, yeah, I'm not going to be 100% satisfied with any decisions they make now. But you know what? I'm going to hold people accountable for, or the organization, the VA held accountable for what they have not been doing for me. Right. So that's a definite follow through right there. So I was going to show some folks how I'm going to get into some other things here. How I play the guitar, right? It's been very difficult for me to. Oh well, let me. I want. You know what I wanted to do was with the injury that I have. I was looking into. So you have this two hemispheres. You got the right and the left, right, and in between you got the fissure. It's called the longitudinal, whatever longitude fissure, and it's what separates the left and right of your brain. Well, when I injured my head on the top right here, that is exactly right on the fissure, right? So can you imagine the damage that it has done? That it has easy access to the center of my brain, and that's why I'm having the problems I'm having. But see, a doctor won't figure that out, and so I think, well, why not? Why can't you figure that out? And so that tells me right there, it's because you don't want to figure it out. There's other things that you're trying to deal with that people are telling you not to deal with in my case. So that tells me even more of why I need to pursue and address before it's too late for me. And I'm going to do it. Right. So just, I need to get to a point where I can, have these people who are helping me just say, look, you guys, this is what we're gonna do, and this is what we require. And if you can't produce, then we're gonna make you produce. And so if that's the way this is going to go, and that's the way this ball bounces, then let's get it over with. Why drag it on, right? Well, I know why they want to drag it on. So, and so the guitar thing, what I do is it's been very difficult. I didn't know if I could do it, if I can play the guitar. I've been playing music for some time, but it paused. It paused for many, many, many years, like 2 decades or so, or a decade, I'd say. And I just didn't find any interest in music anymore. But now I'm picked up. Things are a little different with me, and so I have to manipulate. This is very important. I have to manipulate ways to do what I want to do. I really don't. I don't have the passion for it anymore because of problems I have in my brain. But I do like the technicality of music. Notes and why does this work this way? It's like engineering, right? And I find that interesting. So I've been trying to think, well, let me play, let me get some recording stuff and, start messing around with electronic things. And so I figured, well, I might as well play a little bit like I used to. And actually, I've gotten a lot better since I haven't been playing for some time. And now that my brain's a little different, that's the way I see things. It's like I'm having this different way of seeing music. It's completely, totally different to me now. And so, like, for instance, this pick, right? This is a pick. I'm playing guitar. I got myself a nice Charvel guitar right there. And it's military green. And so I picked it up with a military green. It was a special edition of it, and I liked it. So, what I do is, so I figured out after messing up so many times that, I get a pick and I think there's got to be a way for me to play because I can't play with this arm unless I manipulate a way to try to do it. So what I do is, since the pick has an edge, I have a flat edge, I put it on the the bottom of my finger, right? So it doesn't go anywhere. And then I have to close my finger to try to hold it, and it will stay there. So basically, it'll stay like this, unless I strum so hard that the pick comes loose, and it does. It comes loose. So sometimes I tape it, but I can't play enough, long enough to do a full song or not even a quarter of a song. So I don't even bother. I just leave it like that, and then I play, and that's why I got my recorder, so I can record in pieces and then add it all together. Okay, so I don't ever give up, and so I strum like that, and so I'll show you. And so I got to sort of do this little bouncing thing. You won't see it once I start playing, and what it does is it helps the rest of my body want to move because it's this energy going through it, this movement thing going through it, and it wants, I get to manipulate the movement. But if I'm still and you tell me to move my right arm, I can't move it at all. It's like shit. But if I move my thing, see, I can move my arm and fling it, whatever. So, right now, that's what I do, folks. That's what I do. Cool, huh? Yeah, well, I do the best I can. Pretty cool stuff. I get into it sometimes. But it's a hobby of mine. I do stuff. Helps my brain think of some stuff. I can't remember a damn thing I do when it comes to remembering stuff that I play, so I record it. And then I remember a little bit of it. But I can't. I got 4 or 5 different little things, and that's the thing. Technology, man. I mean, it's so much better than it was, 10 years ago. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal the stuff you can do now. You become your own artist these days. It's a miracle. So I love it. It's fantastic. I can hear my own stuff and get down on my own stuff. Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about, right? It's all about you. So cool. So that's my update for my medical situation, and maybe I'll try to finish one of these songs that I have. I got them all pieces and stuff on this machine, and see if I can finish one out and play. I can play it, and it plays back. And can you imagine? I never thought, it sounds so good. This stuff sounds fantastic. I'm like, that's not me. Yeah, man. So That's my update. I will keep an update further because other people are looking forward to it. But if you do have any information considering any judicial stuff, like law stuff, I'm very interested in learning what I can do to help motivate the people who are trying to help me, and maybe give them some information that I have learned, and maybe we can, I could help this move forward a little faster. Thanks for listening, all that kind of stuff, and